Concentrate on the few, not the many. Boy, that's great advice that I heard originally from Dan Peña, and too many of us focus on too many things. But when you say concentrate on the few, that doesn't mean just concentrate on one. And that's a mistake that an awful lot of people do. They put all their eggs in one basket with respect to making a deal work or finding a board member or an accountant or a lawyer, and they want to pull the trigger right away. So they don't continue to interview, they don't continue to look for additional deals, even though first on a priority list is to finish what you've got in front of you. You certainly don't want to stop the process. You want to go through some parallel paths in case the first deal craters, which is going to sooner or later happen to one of your deals. You haven't lost all that time. And that's one of the critical things. We all think that we have all the time in the world. Well, we have a lot of time potentially, but particularly as you get older, you will find out that time flies by pretty quickly. And one of the regrets often is, geez, I wish I had met you 10 or 20 years ago. I wish I had done this earlier. Well, you can't change that, but you certainly can go down a path now, which is how are you most efficient in pursuing an opportunity while at the same time, either yourself or having an organization that pursues alternate opportunities as well. Okay, so that means you've got to kiss a lot of frogs. That's something you've heard many times, but a lot of times people think you only want to kiss one frog, and I hope that point gets across that that is not what you want to do. You want multiple paths. The other thing that does, particularly if you're interviewing for board members or financial institutions, practice on the smaller ones first, because like most things, you're going to be not terribly good at it when you first do it. But even if it's a small firm, accounting firm, law firm, or even board of director members, when you have, through that interviewing process, people that have basically said they want to be part of what you're doing, it'll give you a tremendous amount of confidence when you go after the top guys in those. For instance, with the accounting firms, with the top four, you don't want to start with them first and practice your game. So try the lower ones, give yourself some confidence, and just go ahead and do it. Nike's comment, just do it. Dan put another word in there that we've all heard, which is absolutely right. Just do it. Certainly is great advice. You know, a lot of us agonize over decisions, and what happens is we imagine, okay, we're not ready to do it, we need more time to prepare, and it's going to be a terrible process that you're going to go through initially, and then even the task itself, you're going to say, oh, it's going to be so hard to give that talk or whatever it is. And I don't know about you, but when I was a kid and I was asked to do anything public speaking for about a month ahead of time, I would agonize over that. Well, what if I messed this up, and what if I messed that up? And I'd wake up in the middle of the night thinking about it. Then I'd give the speech, which was in school, 5 or 10 minutes. You've spent forever agonizing about it, hours and hours on end. And then 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10, it wasn't anywhere near as bad as what you imagined it might potentially be. And afterwards, you could sit back and say, why did I do all that agonizing over it when in reality it wasn't that tough? So I'd encourage you to, as Napoleon Hill said, do it now. That doesn't mean you don't prepare. That doesn't mean that you don't practice. But what it does mean is you don't wait for perfect opportunities. You don't continue to say, well, I need to get better and I need to get better before I take action. One of the things I learned early on was with all tasks, try to touch them once. So when you look at a task, and not all tasks are created equal, certainly, and we get, pick your number, 100 emails a day. First is, can you just delete it? Can you avoid doing it totally? And there's a lot of tasks that fall into that category. The second one, which is hard when it's you initially starting out, but when you get an organization, can you delegate it? Can somebody else do it? And ultimately, last but not least is, okay, I can't delete it, I can't delegate it, I have to do it. But think about whenever you come to a task, what's the highest and best use of your time? And on a daily basis, are you focused on those things that move the needle the furthest for you? There's a tendency, especially when you do a to-do list, write all your to-dos, then look at those to-dos and think about the ones, I can cross this off. Maybe it's straightening your desk or whatever it is. Things that really aren't going to impact your life terribly much, but you feel good when you cross it off, as opposed to looking at that list and putting top on the list, even if it takes you all day, the things that will move the needle the most in your venture. Last but not least, something that really had impacted my life a lot was to implement a sundown rule. And that is that you finish responding to the requests that have come into you, whether deleting, delegating, or doing them, by the end of each day, a sundown rule. And that doesn't mean you have to do it, but at least it means that you have to contact the person or who ended up sending you a request and say, I've got it, I will be working on it, wanted you just to know that I had seen it and that it wasn't being ignored. And that's important, because if you end up not doing a sundown rule, you will end up getting an in-basket that grows and grows, a series of tasks which continue to grow that you haven't done. Your responsiveness will fall off. The important things in that sea of tasks will get lost, and you won't be able to move the needle like you should move the needle with the most progress. So again, I'd encourage you to remember that. Remember that you're not going to be perfect when you start, but there's tremendous power in beginning with the tools that you have after you've practiced, and to take action now. Or, as Napoleon Hill said, do it now. It has served me very, very well. I keep that plaque on my desk and have for years and years. So I hope that helps, and I'd encourage you to, with the tools you have, act now and take action, because time will fly by and you'll wonder, why didn't I do this earlier?
Okay, so if you have any questions or comments or ideas for future episodes, please email bruce@brucewhipple.com. And if you're not already on our mailing list, head over to brucewhipple.com and sign up and grab any of the free reports. That'll put you on the mailing list. There is a lot of free information you can use to acquire already profitable businesses. This is Bruce Whipple. Thanks for listening to the Business Acquisition Podcast. And remember, you miss 100% of the opportunities you fail to take. And procrastination truly is the thief of time. So do something today, please. Your future self will be proud of you.